In an unassuming corner of rural Victoria, Australia, lies the town of Leongatha. Rows of farms, rows of sheep, and a quiet calm that makes headlines for wind farms and rain, not crime. But beneath its peaceful surface, something unspeakable brewed. This is the story of Erin Patterson, a wife, a mother, a woman whose hospitality masked something chilling, and how a single lunch became a weapon. In July 2023, Erin invited her estranged in-laws, Don and Gail Patterson, along with Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, to her home for lunch. The afternoon air held a strange calm. She prepared beef Wellington, a fancy dish, flaky crust, tender filling. It whispered luxury. At its heart, a choice. Comfort turned fatal. Her husband, Simon, who had already endured unexplained illness following her cooking, chose not to attend. That decision would later feel prophetic. On their plates, the Wellington looked golden. Laughter filled the air as the four shared stories. It felt for a moment like healing. Only hours later would that illusion shatter. They fell violently ill, nausea, diarrhea, racking pain. Medical responders arrived, overworked and confused. Hospital ICUs flooded. Doctors described rapid organ failure, the stomach, liver, kidneys shutting down in only hours. It matched a diagnosis every toxicologist feared: death cap mushroom poisoning. 3 died: Heather, Don, Gail. 1, Erin Wilkinson, Heather's husband, survived but only after weeks fighting for his life. It was a horror from a fairy tale, poison hidden in pastry. Investigators dug deeper. Erin's house was no longer a family home, it was a crime scene. Initially, she denied foraging mushrooms. Claiming innocence, she insisted it was a tragic mistake. But footage emerged, her disposing of a food dehydrator at a landfill. She vehemently denied owning one until evidence proved otherwise. Her narrative began to fray. Investigators found her phone wiped clean, deleted messages, hidden browser history. She had searched topics like how to make poison and mushroom toxicity. Red flags, but unexpected in a place where neighbors trusted one another. At trial, jurors heard from mushroom experts, describing the impossible precision needed to turn a partay into a weapon. They analysed how little of the Amanita phalloide's toxin was required to induce irreversible organ failure. They saw the evidence. Erin plated each person individually, not buffet style, raising suspicions of who was meant to eat what. She cleaned the kitchen meticulously. She packed a bag after the meal, passport, jewelry, documents, as if planning to flee. Her search history wasn't consistent with a natural accident. It smelled of intent. For 10 weeks, the courtroom held its breath. Friends and family sat silent behind Erin. The victim's pages remained blank. No words could fill them. Then came the verdict. Guilty on 3 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder. The crowd shuddered. Some wept quietly. The jurors stood firm. It wasn't a tragic mistake. It was premeditated killing. Sentencing followed. Erin faced a maximum, life without parole, plus additional terms for the surviving victim. The judge's voice cracked. This betrayal was calculated. Lives stolen with poison and intent. You will never be free. Outside the courthouse, the community wept again. In Leongatha's cafes, patrons spoke of trust broken. "We were so kind to her," they said. But kindness had been repaid with poison. Flowers were left at the home where laughter once echoed. A small memorial called for healing. Simon, who survived suspected attempts on his life, spoke reluctantly. "I never wanted fame. I only wanted the truth." his fatal instinct saved him. His unresolved trauma lingered through every local whisper. Online, the case exploded. Podcasts dissected toxicology, true crime channels capitalized, looted grief for views. Yet underlying audience fascination lay something darker: betrayal behind the dinner table. But the real story, the one we must not lose, is this: a family meal became a weapon. Trust masked terror. Hospitality turned lethal. Erin Patterson looked like a mother. Instead, she delivered death. And even now, as prosecutors archived the case, whispers of reform circulated. Should laws around custody and mental instability be tighter? Poison is not a soap opera trick. It's a reminder how fragile the most loving places can become. But Erin's betrayal behind a Wellington plate is a reminder. Look at what we don't expect. Because sometimes horror comes wrapped in pastry.